Hi, so today I'm going to be reflecting on all the things that I've learned in this CEE 517 class. So I'm going to be discussing some strategies that I think work with writing instruction, some strategies I think should be implemented in the everyday classroom, and then some writing assessment tactics that I liked in our modules, and then how all this can work together for student achievement. So the first thing I'm going to be discussing is writing recommendations, the national writing recommendations for the classroom, and their effectiveness. So I'm going to attach a graphic here from the practice guide with the levels of evidence of how effective these are in the classroom and creating writers in the classroom. So the first one is providing daily time for students to write. And I think this one is really important and probably one of the easiest to implement by just allowing students to write in journals, giving them time to be creative with their writing, and then letting them write throughout multiple content areas during the day. I think that can just be a good way to do it. And then the second one is teaching students to use the writing process for a variety of purposes. I think this one can be difficult depending on the student's level of understanding of variety of purposes. So this is where the writing process would come in and where you would need to model that explicitly and show students exactly what it means to write purposeful writing for different reasons and to different audiences. So I think this is one of the most important ways to teach students like how to write to an audience. And then going into that, teaching students to become fluent with handwriting, spelling, sentence construction, typing, and word processing is the third recommendation. And this one can be difficult to implement in your classroom if you don't have as much technology as the modern classroom may have. But just making sure that you include just teaching fluency while you're writing, because this is probably the most crucial one to me to teach to students, because students can't write for a variety of purposes if they're not able to construct accurate and comprehended sentences for a reader to understand. So just making sure that students' handwriting is good, that they are able to spell important words in their writing, I think that's really important for students to learn. And then creating an engaged community of writers is also important to implement, because I think that it's important for students to grow confidently in their writing in the classroom and to just feel like they are able to write and that they are able to do the things that their teacher is showing them how to do. So just feeling confident and being shown that mistakes are okay and that collaborating is encouraged and that, revising is encouraged, and just knowing that your writing doesn't always have to be perfect. And so I also learned that the writing process must be taught. It must be taught explicitly. It must be modeled actively. And so I'm going to attach a picture from the AmericanBoard.org of the writing process, and it has pre-writing, outlining, composition, revising, and editing, and then proofreading on there. So the first one is pre-writing, and that can be shown through, writing down what you recognize through the text and brainstorming and making graphic organizers. Like, that's how pre-writing can be taught in the classroom. And then outlining, you can create concept maps with students, you can create an actual outline with students, and just showing them how to organize their ideas and making sure that they have everything organized before they start composing or writing, which is the next step, and just connecting ideas and creating paragraphs and just creating like a full body of work that makes sense. The next one is when you revise and edit and just developing your writing style and just making sure that it's cohesive and makes sense. And then the next step is proofreading, where you're just editing grammar, spelling, and punctuation and making sure that everything flows well. And so implementing this writing process into teaching writing and teaching reading, according to Graham 2018 from the Effectiveness of Literacy Programs, Balancing Reading and Writing Instruction, talks about how the balanced programs showed results in statistical improvement in either reading or writing. So I think it's important to include the writing instruction with the reading instruction, because it's statistically shown that students learn better when the both are taught explicitly alongside one another. And so the next graphic I'm going to show is a writer's workshop example classroom from Kissel and Miller, 2015, Reclaiming Power in the Writer's Workshop, where they also discuss a bunch of different ways to implement writing workshop. So they talk about how you should establish routines with your writing, which is letting students become more comfortable in their classrooms, and then bringing writing into play, mostly for early childhood, where students would be writing in a grocery store, like labeling fruits and vegetables, or writing down what they want from a restaurant, like doing that in dramatic play. And then observing writers, really paying attention to what they're writing, really explicitly helping them on things to spell if they ask, sounding things out, helping them phonetically spell, giving them constant feedback, so really giving them feedback and not just glancing at their writing and saying, oh great, that looks fine, or that's not good. Just really giving them good, constant feedback and consistency in that feedback and telling them, that looks great, maybe we should add this. Or, this is how this is spelled, let's talk about that. And then creating meaningful bulletin boards and meaningful anchor charts with students is important. Doing it alongside students and making them student-centered allows them to recognize and understand them more, and will create a more inclusive and cohesive environment where they want to look at those and reference them because they helped create the anchor charts or the bulletin boards. And so the attached picture, I'll put it up again, of the example writers workshop in a classroom, just talks about how there's an author's chair that students can sit in, and just gathering experience for students, letting them construct their own learning, and how writing and conferring is about 15 minutes where the teacher discussed with students specifically about their writing. And this just shows how combining the writing process and writing mechanics to teach students writing is important to help them holistically learn writing. So I want to talk about the project assessment and performance assessment, group assessments, and portfolio assessments from Jacobs 2013 in Designing Assessments, a Multiliteracies Approach, because this discusses how assessment can help show student achievement and help show that students are able to write in a variety of purposes by giving them space to write for projects, for group collaborative work, and then creating an all-around portfolio to maybe show their overall growth. So that is all. Thank you.